Paranormal things were happening, things were flying off shelves, fans were going on with lights flashing in them, and one of them did not have a bulb in it because I had removed it.
Welcome. I'm here with Barbra Banner. Barbara, welcome.
Hi, so glad to be here. Just, trying to look at both sides.
Okay. So how did you get into this topic? I mean, I've seen all your videos, and not all your videos, but you were on Next Level Soul. So I kind of have that background, but for the audience that may not.
Yes, it sort of hit me in the head. It was like the Wizard of Oz. The house fell on me, basically. Paranormal things were happening. Things were flying off shelves. Fans were going on with lights flashing in them. And one of them did not have a bulb in it because I had removed it.
That's weird.
I was doing some audition tapes and all of a sudden there's orbs in them. And I just thought, oh my gosh, Spirit is calling me. And I've always been interested in paranormal things. And I just said, I've got to do something. And I signed up with Suzanne Giesemann, one of the best mediums. And I was off and running from the first. I had never even meditated before. I was just fell off the hay truck when it came to knowing anything about spirituality other than all the shows I watched. So,
and I think that what's important too is, when did this happen? And were there any catalysts that may have started it?
This did not happen until later in life, okay? Like my 60s. I have always been interested in volunteering and, helping other people, whatever. And I picked these organizations, like I was on 14 years on a woman's crisis hotline. And we had wonderful training for months and months about every kind of trauma somebody could be in. And then I've been at Cedars-Sinai emergency room because I do need a little adrenaline rush for 12, 13 years. I'm still doing that once a week. And then the weird stuff started. Someone told me about the city's crisis response team, where they send you out to a scene where there is a policeman on the scene, possibly with the coroner, where there is a deceased body. And the police are very busy doing their job, measuring pictures, everything, asking people. And so they send out a team of 2 people or 1 to work with the family who has come on the scene and are there while this is going on, or to their house right after, they've been told. So incredible training, so much of it. And I loved it. I'd get called out at 3 a.m. I didn't care. I was ready. And it was so fascinating. And only later did someone call to my attention, because I didn't put this together. I was la-di-da. You were divinely guided to those 3 things so you would be able to pick this back up, be a medium. Because I've been told so many times from channelers and this, that, and the other that I've been doing this for centuries. And they needed me this century because everything's waking up. So they shook me up and said, get up. So I hit the ground running. It was amazing.
So when all this paranormal activity, for lack of a better word, started in your house, how did you react to it? Were you scared, or were you this is weird, this is funny, this is
just so cool? I mean, because as I said, when I was 13, I said to myself, because I was a little psychic or something, I think I'm a witch. I didn't even know what else to call it when I was 13. And I was watching Sylvia Brown, who's an old-time medium, and these other shows. And I was really interested, always was. And I always felt I had a little juju, a little psychic, but I didn't, what was I going to do with it? Try to make money on the Oscar bets or something? I just let it go. And I was meant to do this. I mean, I just said, I can't believe it. This is my purpose in life now. I had my purpose in life before for 30 years as a advertising marketing writer. And, that was phenomenal career for me. And I'm so grateful that I have this for the rest of my life. I'll be 102 and I'll be telling you what your mom says.
Now, how did that component of it work? Because you have the paranormal stuff, but how did it, like psychokinetic, or maybe it's not psychokinetic, but depending on the source, but you have kind of lights turning on and off and things like that. When did that convert into this ability for mediumship? Like, when did you figure that out?
Only after I started taking a mediumship class with Suzanne. I didn't really understand. As I said, I had never even meditated. I mean, I was a rookie. Only then it all just fell into place. It was like a puzzle with 1,000 pieces floating in the air, and all of a sudden they all decided to come down and show me what the puzzle was.
To advertise on Through a Glass Darkly, email throughaglassdarkly@gmail.com.
Now, how does it work for you? Like this mediumship?
Okay. Everyone has their little thing they do before they meditate. They do this, they say, they do whatever. And mine is to say hello to, the source and roll around on the floor with my spirit animals and give the angels a hug and do high five to my guides and then work with my higher self. And as soon as the fireworks go off, I'm off and running. It's raising your vibration. And I have such gratitude. Gratitude is like the highest vibration you can have, and joy. So I've got that. So it's not hard.
How do impressions come to you? Is it visual? Is it kind of verbal?
It's, I see them, I hear them, I feel them. They even move my body. I can speak through them. I offer a trance reading that at the end I go into trance and give them a message from whoever they want. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. I have very funny guides. They do crazy kind of things before, and I just have learned to trust them.
Yeah, there's one example, the Saturday Night Live example.
Oh my gosh.
Feel free to tell that story, please.
I love Saturday Night Live. My husband and I watch it all the time. Anyway, I'm reading a girl, a granddaughter, and the grandmother is the spirit. And all of a sudden, I am watching Saturday Night Live's Dick in a Box segment. And I'm thinking, I couldn't get it out, okay? I said, I can't tell this young girl that her grandma's showing me, dick in a box. It had to be breaking a law in the universe or something, do no harm. So I couldn't say it. And I was in a group setting kind of thing. And all the other mediums were looking at me because they said, Barbara, I think she's having a stroke. She's not speaking. She's just frozen. And it's the only thing I've seen or been shown by spirit that I could not speak it. And I just learned. And you know what? I think back now, how it was a mistake. And I never figured out why she was showing me. But a lot of times they show me things that the client was doing, like the night before, or something they love. And now that I think of it, Grandma was just trying to tell me, I was there with you last night when you were watching Saturday Night Live. I was there with you. And it would have been such a great piece of evidence that Grandma's consciousness was alive and well and with you, because they're always with us. So that's a learning situation. Everything we do that we screw up, it's because we need to learn that message. And it was just trust, and we're running the show, and trust us. So now I say something. I remember I had a young girl and a grandma, and Grandma says, go do some phone sex if you want more money. And I said, I didn't say that. I don't know how that came out of my mouth. And the girl's cracking up. She goes, my husband and I have that as a running joke when we need to furnish the house. Like, you want another chair? You better go do some phone sex. And she said, and we talked about it last night. So I know Grandma was there, and it's so like her to bring it up. So I just learned, just go with the flow. They know everything. They cannot make a mistake. I can make a mistake. I can like leave off one word or it's not clear enough to me and have to go back in and see what I did wrong, but they cannot. And I just have to trust spirit no matter what they do. They even started making appointments for me once and the phone was ringing off the hook. I don't have an appointment with you on Wednesday at 2:00. I had like 20 people emailing me that I didn't make this appointment. You know, I didn't want them thinking I'm just trying to snag more readings or something. I said, I have no idea what that is. It must be some technical snafu. Anyway, and they all said the same thing. There was the name of somebody that they knew or a loved one in the message window. Now, I don't even have a message window on my automatic confirmation. So I called one of them and I said, who is Rosa Gonzalez? She said, yeah, you had that in the confirmation. She said, that's my housekeeper. How would you even know the name of my housekeeper? And I said, I don't. That's the point. I don't know what's going on. And she said, oh my gosh. She said, her son died 2 days ago. Okay. They're trying to tell me who needs a reading. And everybody who called me had the same time. Okay, you know it's something because I can't give 20 people 2:00 on Wednesday. It was amazing. And so they were making appointments for me, letting me know who was in trouble. What are they going to do next? Do the readings for me? Okay. So I have some very humorous guides and I love it. Makes it interesting.
Do these guides, are they specific people or?
I know a bunch of them. You know, guides always change because, you know, one day you'll need a guide who knows about crypto or something. You know what I mean? Whoever you need is there. You have ones that are always there, like my one who takes care of mediumship and my like overall guide who, you know. So I usually feel like I have 6 to 8 during readings and people can change and they can say, there's a monk there now. You know, I said, do I have any new guides? Yeah, there's a monk from, 1622. Okay, come on in. There's a reason for everybody.
What would a monk from 1622 have to say to somebody?
We did not have a discussion, but there might have been something to teach me serenity or to keep my mouth shut. I don't know if it was one of those that, I don't know. I don't talk to all of them, but they're all there when I need it for whatever is needed. That's all I know.
And how many years have you been doing this?
Only 5 years. I mean, I'm a newbie.
And how has that been? What's the most resistant reading you ever had? When I say resistant, I mean the person that you're reading has been resistant.
I've got the good skeptic story. Oh boy, that's crazy. I had a woman whose husband passed and she was referred to me. And everything I said was, that's too broad. That could be for more than me. You could have gotten that in the newspaper or on the TV. And it was really uncomfortable because it just throws you off. It throws me off to have that negative energy because to have a great reading, everybody's got to have their energy up or they have to believe, they have to be with you. And if they're against you and pushing you away, it does not make for a good reading. Anyway, I gave her money back and I cut it short. And I had her husband. I mean, he looked just like an actor in the TV show House. Okay. I knew who he was. And when I described him, that was him. Anyway, he came to me in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. one evening or morning, whatever you want to call it, and woke me up. And he showed me a half of a bagel toasted with, the center scooped out. You know how people scoop out a bagel? And I said, okay, what do you want me to do with that? And he wanted me to let her know. So I got in touch with her and said, look, I know this sounds wacky, but this is what your husband showed me. Does it mean anything to you? And she goes, of course not. A scooped out bagel. Every Jewish woman does that. Saves 3 calories. I said, okay, I wasn't going to fight. I just said, I just wanted to let you know what he showed me. The end of the week, she gets in touch with me. She goes, you're not going to believe this. She said, I went to my in-laws' house, to see my husband's parents. And my father-in-law says, I invented a product and I'm going to show you this prototype and see if you know what it is. So he brings out some contraption. He goes, do you know what this is? She goes, I have no idea what you're showing me. He said, it's a bagel scooper. You can't make this stuff up. And now she's got so many signs from him because she opened up and she believed. So that was the most resistant. And we're taught that it's never the client's fault, but I can't go along with that in some cases because, it's all about energy and vibration. And if you have somebody who's fighting you and looking to say no, or in such deep grief, it's not always someone who's just a little nasty. Sometimes they're just in such deep grief. They're not capable. You know what I mean? They're not open to it yet. And that's okay. That's okay. And I'll say, I don't think you're ready yet to take this in. So yeah, that was the toughest one.
Now, when you interact with spirit, do they only kind of help you with readings, or did they ever give you a heads up on what's going on more broadly or what's coming?
Well, I use a pendulum and I have to make sure that the spirits that, I'm hoping for are there. So I test them first. Like I'll say, just to make sure that I'm getting the right answers. Do I have green hair? Okay. So it's giving me a no. I'm not moving my finger. That's a counterclockwise. And is Sean Patrick a very handsome man? Okay, we're getting a yes on that. So we know they're here. So ask in your own mind a yes or no question where you know the answer, and let's see if they're in tune with you. You don't even have to say it out loud if you don't, if it's something embarrassing, whatever. And let's just, you've asked them?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's going back and forth now. That's like, they're either thinking or, okay, it's a no.
I asked if it was part Irish.
Okay, and they said no. All right, well, then
maybe my dad's the mailman. I don't know.
Okay, let's just see. Is there another way to ask it? I don't think there would be, but...
let me do something that's definitely certifiable.
Okay,
I got one. Let me just think on it.
Okay,
clearly, because I have a bunch of
Yeah, you have to ask very specific, and that last one was very specific. So I can't, and I wouldn't change my life plan because of what comes up on here either.
Right. Okay, all right.
You've got some.
One.
All right. Now this one, I'm getting a yes on right away.
And I definitely didn't go to Yale.
Okay. It's broken. I can't. That's why I always test first to make sure that I feel like I have the right spirit people working on it. So
when you get kind of false positives and stuff like that, what would cause that?
A lot of times, but not in your case. A lot of times it's the way they ask a question, or you know what? I don't really know why it doesn't work every single time. Our brains, I can make it go yes if I want. So that's why I always say, don't tell me the question because I have no idea which way it's going to, so that my brain can't get in there. I'm going to have to look into that because I just figure they don't want to answer or whatever. I am just the vessel. In a reading, I always have my opinion when somebody asks something, even if I don't know what it is. And then I just say, but let's just validate it with the pendulum. And then it usually comes out right, what I have thought that my answer was.
Because I didn't say it out loud. If I had said it out loud, would that... Because in all fairness, you have no way to validate that was the question that I was thinking in my head.
No idea what the question was.
Right. But my point is, if you're dealing with somebody who's deceptive, right, you may have gotten the right answer and they're just like, no, I thought of this, which is...
There are people out there who don't want to give it to you. And I've had them and I said, well, they'll say something later like they understood that. I said, well, you just told me you didn't understand that. So, okay. Did Sean go to Yale? I'm getting a no now. And I'm not. Okay. Is Sean's father's family have Irish in it? That's a yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a yes.
Does Sean's mother's part of her family have Irish in it? Now, I'm getting a no on that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, as far as I know, going back.
Okay. So, as I said,
it might be that you have to ask it out loud, or I don't know.
It doesn't matter. In my sessions, I do a Q&A period, okay? And they can ask questions to spirit, and everyone seems to be getting the right answer. But in the beginning, I say I'm hijacking the first question, okay? But let me put it in a box. Otherwise, they could ask me, how tall is the Empire State Building? And I don't play those games. So they ask spirit a question in their mind. I don't want to know. And it can't be yes or no. It has to be, they have to answer it. And then I say, let me show you what spirit's showing me. And I said, okay, spirit is showing me a woman lost her 6-year-old son. Spirit is showing me your son in heaven riding on the back of a butterfly. And the woman starts crying. And I go, oh, what? Tell me, does that have anything to do with the question you asked? And she said, yes. The question was, what is my son doing in heaven? Now, what's interesting, she said, is I bought a book when my son died for children because he has a younger sister. And I wanted to show her and make her feel better. You know what I mean? Like understand what happens. He's not there, breaking rocks in the chain gang. It's beautiful and wonderful. And in the book, there was a picture of a little boy riding on the back of a butterfly. Exactly what I told her. This was what beautiful evidence for this mother to know her son is around her and that he put that message in her head and he wants her to know he's with her and that he was with her when she read the book to his little sister as well. He's always with her. That's a game changer for somebody who doesn't know and is in grief and wants to believe that they're not gone, just their little body's gone. So that's healing. And that's what I hope to do in every reading, is to just lift them up, especially in their grief. Or make them look at death a different way. It's not the end. So Edgar Cayce would say, they're not gone. They just are a little ahead of you. They just went a little ahead of you. It's how you look at it. You can't change that the physical is gone, but you can understand that they're with you and supporting you and loving you. And you'll see them again.
Can you ask some questions about future events, things like that?
There are psychics who really do future and what's going to happen in 4 years with, are the aliens and humans going to have a fight or anything like that. Spirit tends to stay away from that. For me, I do it in a different way because anything we tell you about the future is only good for that day, most likely, because everybody who's in this picture has free will. So you can't bet on that. I get a lot of people who want to know what is their purpose in life, or are they going to meet somebody? And I always tell them about purpose in life. You already know what you want to do and what would make you happy. Everybody knows it in their own heart, in their own soul, and they need to believe their intuition. People have intuition and they just poo-poo it. They're too afraid to go forward with what they feel in their heart. They just don't trust it. And I say to them, what makes you so happy and joyous? What would make you just want to get up in the morning and get to work or go here and do that? What is it that gives you that much joy? And they all have an answer. And they all say, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And I just say, fear is keeping you from it. That's it. Your heart knows, your soul knows what you're supposed to do. And you just need to trust it a little more, because we're all just spiritual beings with a nice human suit, but we all know everything about our future, except what someone else is going to do or what you're going to do.
What was your most upsetting reading that you had?
No one's ever asked me that, but
I keep it balanced. I had to.
The name of your show should have told me something like that is coming up. The most upsetting. Wow. I don't know if it's the most upsetting, but it upset the client the most. Her husband had recently died or passed, and she wanted to know if he had been cheating on her. And I knew immediately. I said, yes, he had. And she said, yes, he had. I wanted to see what he said. For some reason, he died of cancer, but he left his cell phone somewhere that she found it and she got into it. And he had been having a 3-year affair with this woman, and the things he was writing, and it rocked her world. She just felt so betrayed and so lied to and so stupid. And she said, I still love him. And then she just kept booking with me. It's like you can't take your eyes off a car wreck. She just had so many questions to ask me. And I just brought this in and I said, I'll tell you what I think, and let's just see if he's going to admit it all. And he admitted everything. And I said everything. I always say, do you want me to tell you everything? Some people want to know how their loved one died because they don't know. And I tell them what I see. I always say, for some reason, everyone has a little thing. I could do the white chalk line around the position the body was in when he was discovered. Don't ask me why they want to show me that. I'll say, and when he passed, his head was like this. That's it. So it's really interesting. And it's also helpful for people who don't really know what happened. She was a doctor, and the coroner's report didn't give her the information, and she had asked everybody, and she needed to know what was that thing that actually took his life. And I said, I see him laying down and shaking, like he's having a seizure. I said, is that possible? Because he did have drug use from before. And I said, would a seizure even show up? Obviously his heart stopped, but there was something that did that. Would a seizure even show up on a coroner's report? She goes, no. I said, that's what I'm seeing. So sometimes it can be so helpful to put a reason to it, because coroner's reports don't give you everything. They could be waiting for the tox report, or things don't show up while your heart stopped. There's nothing. And so things like that, I feel like I could put them at rest. And I always can tell them that he did not suffer or he was not in pain. They'll pluck your little soul out before you have pain. And even though your body may still move, there is no pain.
Now, when you kind of get into the right state for mediumship, does it involve meditation? I mean, you talked about kind of rolling on the floor and doing
Yeah. No, I meditate. When I wake up in the morning, I'll put on Joe Dispenza or something and, for a 20-minute meditation, or I'll listen to my trance mentor go through a meditation. And it just sort of centers you and gets you all relaxed and open so you can receive the messages.
Now, when you're going through this, you're raising your vibration. Have you ever attracted, or has anything kind of lower vibration tried to, I guess, communicate with you in any way?
I was in a practice group where a bunch of really good mediums, and somehow we brought out a serial killer who just had a really dark energy. And when we stopped, we decided to let him go. Thank you for coming. Don't come again. She said, he's still around you. And it was pretty creepy for me to think that he's still hanging around. I don't know what he thinks.
Was this person alive or dead? This is
dead.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Yeah. Nobody physically here. And so they did some juju, some, mediumship stuff. And then he sort of disappeared and I saged the place and set the intention. But it's love. Spirit helps us have the clients feel a connection. I'm certified with Helping Parents Heal organization, and you can pick mediums that have been tried and tested from them and another certified thing. And maybe there's like 50 or 100 on there. And I always say, what made you pick me out of all of them? Because I like to understand. And they said, when I saw your picture, I knew I had to go to you. And now most people are coming from seeing me on a podcast, because I've done like 50 in the last 60 days. I'm exhausted. But so I get a lot of people from that, and they just like your vibe, or they like how you think of things. And one of my teachers said, look, there's so many mediums out there. There's like a crystal shop on every corner, and they're good. They're good. What makes people come to you is who you are, is your spirit and your vibe and the way you look at things. So be yourself. That's all I want to say, because that's what they're looking for. Whoever you are, be yourself. So I've never been somebody to sugarcoat anything. All right. I'm like a tell it like it is. No BS. Hope you got a thick skin kind of person. I don't do anything to hurt anybody, but I don't send them thinking, oh yeah, that's great. There you go.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I try to.
Right. Just, I'm not going to try to be anything for anybody. I'm just going to be me. And there's enough places people can see who I am that they know if they are in the right place.
In terms of kind of your ability to engage in mediumship, do you feel that you're getting better and better over time?
Oh, yes.
Like, is there, like, what sorts of things have improved? Kind of, so if you could talk through that.
Okay. We'll never stop learning. I mean, I'm still in a trance class, and I pick up things from podcasts, from other mediums, or things, what Edgar Cayce says, what this one, Dolores Cannon, is fabulous. So I'm learning all the time. I'm listening to different podcasts that I have interest in, or that I need to know more about, who I, admire. We pick things that resonate with us from other people or podcasts or teachers. Every teacher's different, and you're not going to agree with everything. Well, this part of my mediumship is like really good. I don't want to change that. But this part, I want to know why that dog is peeing in the corner kind of thing. Am I get something out of that? And right now I can tell you what he looks like, the dog, but I don't know why he's lifting his leg in the corner. So I can only go so far. And so there are things I can learn about, looking at a dog's eye and trying to get some answers. And for now, I just send them to a nice animal communicator. So yes, trance has been the greatest help for me. I think people should learn how to do trance before they take a mediumship class, because once you get that down and learning to just let go and really let them, here's the difference. Psychic, in a regular reading, if they mention like their son that's alive, I can do a psychic reading on him. I'll say, oh, he's very depressed. He's pacing the floor. He's angry. He's throwing things. And that's my son. That's what he's going through. So that's psychic. And it just comes into my mind. Mediumship, I'm awake. I am present. I am filtering things and doing it. Trance, I'm out of it. Okay. I just sink into this meditation that just takes me away, and I'm just floating, and my brain is over there. I could be having a cup of coffee, and spirit is like, just sort of takes over, and I'm just a vessel. They just speak through me. And when I'm done, when they, I have set an intention, they want a message from their mother. I don't know what I've said. If they start talking about it, it'll come back to me a little, or a word here means something, but I couldn't tell you what I really said. They really put you in an altered state. So those are the three kind of things. And being in that altered state tells you right away how to really connect with spirit. I mean, it just shows you we're all souls, so just bring them in.
It's actually fairly similar. I mean, the practice is different, but the brainwave state that you've described is very similar to two types of remote viewing. So in like coordinate remote viewing, this is the kind of military stuff that
I've done that. I've practiced that a little.
Yeah. So when you talked about kind of I don't know, I mean, not normal is not the right word, but regular mediumship, that what you described sounds like an alpha wave state. That's what you would do for coordinate remote viewing.
Okay.
But for extended remote viewing, when you're kind of in an altered state or more altered state, because you're probably in an alpha wave state, you're also relaxed, right? But present, like you could still write on a piece of paper. With extended remote viewing, you're kind of lying down or just very relaxed. You kind of brain would porpoise into a theta wave brain state. And there are other forms of gnosis, right? That it's either incredibly relaxed, like this theta wave state, but there's also incredible, like when you have like really frenzied activity, right? Which is, I think, gamma, when you like very, very high frequency brainwave state. But I don't think you've described anything like that. I haven't heard very many people describe things like that. It, particularly remote viewers. Like they don't go into gamma.
Yeah.
But Chris Bledsoe does, apparently, if you're familiar with Chris Bledsoe.
You know the name.
He's The Lady UFO of God is the book that he wrote. And he can detect orbs, like he knows when orbs are going to fly over. So he'll go outside. But his brain, when they test his brainwave activity, it goes into a gamma, like a high, excitable state. So, okay. In terms of kind of recent readings or readings in the last... Actually, that's pretty interesting. You started doing this in 2020.
Yeah, right at the pandemic. You know, all my friends were just binge watching, and I'm like going crazy, taking classes in this stuff. So,
yeah, a lot of this, call it awakening, started around that time.
Right. And I've heard that the other side put us into this position because we need to just calm the F down and just sort of look inward as opposed to outward. So I don't know. I'm not floating that. I'm just saying that that was one of the things that I tuned into.
Now, in recent months, let's say, because the time that you started doing this was a crazy time. I think remains a crazy time. But are there any themes that have come up more often in your readings in the last few months or last year that are new or different?
Well, I think it's remained the same because of my background in crisis and trauma and this, that, and the other, grief. I seem to get a lot of clients who are still suffering. And I always seem to be able to bring it back to childhood trauma. And it's almost like, in some ways, like being hypnotized. Dolores Cannon is an amazing woman who has found a way to just get even deeper than anybody else has gotten to find out your past and who you were before and what alien community you're from, things like that. I just have to say that I think people are suffering. I just find it that they're really suffering not just from the grief of losing someone, but I think that exacerbates the trauma that they have from having a parent who was abusive or who ignored them, or they left home at 12 because they were being abused, things like that. It's so, I hate to say it, it's so normal to come upon that, even in a reading. And every medium, psychic, everyone is different. Everyone has their own style or way or thoughts of doing it. And nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's whatever works for you. It seems like 95% of the people that I read, after somebody passes in the family, nobody's talking to each other. All right. It's like the family blows up because there's an estate to divvy up. This one is mad at this one. I was doing a reading on somebody. This was a funny one. And I said, I see your mother like laying down on the top of a coffin. Okay. And Spirit gives me funny stuff. And she's holding like a daisy. And she pops up, sitting up, and says, I wasn't dead yet. And the client goes, I knew she could hear us. I knew she could hear us. She was like in a coma. And all of a sudden, all the families around and said, I want that ring, and I want most of that house, and that couch, I want that one. And this person was saying, guys, stop it. Stop doing this. Maybe she can hear us. This is unacceptable. And one of the sisters wouldn't stop. And to that day, she never spoke to her sister again. It really brings out the worst in people, not just from how sad it will be. They're supposed to be saying, we love you, Mom. You've been wonderful. And they're divvying up the gold. And people just find the worst in people when somebody's passed and there's money or things that were buried, things they were always angry about their sister who got more attention from dad than they did. Things they blow up. And it makes grief even harder when you have that knot in your stomach that you want to talk to your sister. You're so sad. And you find this one was a narcissist and don't bother because you're never going to win. There's so much psychological things that go on after somebody passes as well. But it was very funny the way the mom popped up and just let them know, I'm not dead yet. I wasn't dead yet. Letting everybody know I heard everything you say. Okay. And of course they forgive them, but yeah.
All right. I have a very strange question for you. So a few weeks ago, it might have even been a week ago, I was sitting here either doing an interview or I basically couldn't step away from my computer and I couldn't talk because for whatever, I can't even remember why I was held up.
While you were doing an interview, you like blanked out, or is that what I'm hearing?
No, I was probably in a work meeting or something, someplace where I couldn't talk to somebody in my periphery.
Right.
And I'm sitting here and there's a light up in the hallway up there. And it was as if someone went to the light switch and just was going on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And it was like, it was not for 30 seconds and it wasn't flickering. It was like on, off, on for 15 minutes. And I just assumed it was my 7-year-old son playing with the lights because it was like that.
Right.
He either wasn't home or he was asleep. So I asked my wife, I'm like, what was that about? She's like, oh, it's probably just a light bulb or something like that. I'm like, that's
okay.
So my question for you is, what was that? Was it, okay. I'm perfectly willing to believe it's an electrical problem.
No, it's not. It rarely is. And people, I tell people, please don't call it electrician. One woman said she called electrician, changed all the wiring, and the minute they left, it was doing it again. I said, because it was your grandmother, So who do you think it was? Let's just see from spirit. There's no yes or no. Who do you think it might have been on the other side?
So there's one person who passed recently, my wife's Uncle Mark.
Okay. And you were close to him?
On her side of the family, he was the person I was closest to, for sure.
I'm getting a no. Okay?
Okay.
Who else do you think it might have been?
Well, we're getting to weird stuff. So I can't think of any person who passed recently.
Does it have to be recently? They could have passed 20 years ago.
Oh, then I would have no idea. It could also be associated with this channel, starting this channel, like a lot of stuff like that, like of that flavor has happened since I started this channel in 2022.
Let's ask this question. During the time that Sean was on his computer or dealing with an issue, was the flashing to let him know about something going on with that issue? Because this is what I'm feeling. Yes. Were you doing anything that you had to make a decision or that you had to do any work on at that time?
Not that I can remember.
You couldn't get away from the thing.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Was your client? You were on a reading. You were doing a recording.
I honestly cannot remember. Whatever it was something that was like.
It could very well have been for the person you were interviewing. It could have been, he mentioned something, and whatever he mentioned at the time, I'm getting goosebumps now. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
It wasn't for
you. The problem is I can't remember what I was doing. I just knew I couldn't like that's kind of weird. But I don't think I was like interviewing anybody.
If you know about what week it was and you could figure out who might have been there, you could look at some of the document, look at the podcast and see maybe you looked weird because something was going on and you couldn't do it. Or you remember, this is what we were talking about when that happened. There's your clue. That 15-minute segment there, Spirit was going crazy. Like, don't do it. Don't sell the house and move to Bali. Don't do it. There's something that they were alerting you to. And it could either be negative or positive. But I'm feeling it was a warning, not a mean thing, but like, think about that more, before you do it.
It didn't feel menacing or anything. Because again, I just immediately assumed.
Menacing. It was just them trying to get your client's attention. And they didn't know because obviously you didn't say there's lights flashing back, and I can't stop them. And next time, if you're in an interview, say it. Say, you know what, there's lights flashing now, and I don't think it's for me. Is there somebody that you think might be trying to get your attention because what we're talking about? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the other thing too is I thought maybe it was the light, but later that night the light was off. I turned it back on, and it was bright as day.
Fine.
Yeah, and it still hasn't flickered since.
They can do anything with energy because we're all pure energy. When they pass over, they're just a big ball of energy. So anything to do with energy, they can turn off your TV when you're watching something they don't approve of. They do that to my daughter.
Well, here's why this sounds crazy. So I was interviewing that week a lot of people who were associated with, actually, that's helping me narrow it down. Actually, so it was probably the week of December 31st. So I can, whenever that was, it was after that day, probably shortly thereafter. So I was interviewing, this is going to sound silly, but I was interviewing a lot of people who are like Sasquatch experiencers. And the thing about Sasquatch experiencers is like all the things that you're describing about paranormal activity, orbs, flickering lights. You didn't talk about knocking, but knocking is also a very similar thing.
People can hear knocking.
Ports. So there are people I've interviewed who like marbles will just drop onto the floor out of nowhere. It's almost one-for-one spiritual activity. Like if you remove Sasquatch from the equation and I just told you all those things, you would be like, oh, spirits speak. So because people get very pigeonholed in these categories, they don't crosstalk or they haven't crosstalked in the past. But when you kind of map everything together, it's very similar. I don't know why, but anyway, long story short, I was interviewing a bunch of people about that specific phenomena that week.
Is that Sasquatch week on your podcast? Okay.
Sasquatch season. You're going to appear after Sasquatch season, but
they've got Shark Week on Discovery. Yeah. I always watch it, but it's always right before I'm going to the Caribbean, and I'm like, getting my shark pellets going. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was that was the timing of it, but people who I interviewed would report things like that. So I know it's out there, and I waited 5 years before I started delving into that phenomenon, but having examined all this other phenomena, it's there are people like Jacques Vallée who say, this is all the same thing, but they're different faces, right? Even the UFO phenomena or UAP phenomena, it all kind of maps in a very similar way. Maybe it's just there are common mechanisms that different entities can use to communicate, right? And they're just all similar, or it could be the same thing with different faces. I don't know. But that was the week that it happened. I know it sounds silly, but.
So let me just tell you, when you mentioned Sasquatch, I don't know where I got the information. It was probably either in a book or on a podcast. But supposedly, many gazillion years ago, when humans were just developing and the universe was filled with other entities, they needed to come down and put a little DNA because they were on the wrong path or whatever. They put some DNA in ours. And they said, if we wouldn't have infiltrated some of the alien DNA, you would have all ended up as Sasquatches from the caveman. If you just kept going into that DNA line, we would have all just looked like Sasquatch. So, and I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I haven't heard anything about Sasquatch until a week ago. So I don't know.
Seriously?
Seriously. I mean,
a week ago.
I've seen them and I know the folklore, but nobody's been talking to me about, I saw Sasquatch in a dream. What do you think? That hasn't come up in readings, I'm saying.
Right.
And they showed a picture and you just mentioned it. So I don't know how that fits in, but it does.
Well, it's just synchronicities for whatever reason.
Yes.
That stuff happens.
Exactly.
I'm trying not to make this about me at all. Just ever since I started this channel, there's 3 things that have happened in increasing frequency, right? So there's the synchronicities, which everybody has. Maybe we just notice these things more. I don't know.
Yeah.
The second thing is strange animal behavior. So owls landing on the back fence. I was able to walk up to an owl, took 1,000 pictures of it. I've seen more owls in the last 5 years than I've seen in my entire life. It's just not normal. I had an incident 3 weeks ago where there was a fox in my yard, and I went out in the dark and I was coming down the hill and I just felt a presence on my left and I looked and there was a fox 3 feet from my face, just staring at me. That's not normal.
No,
so
it's somebody. I believe it's spirit. They usually do things, with animals that have a very simple neurological system. They could jump into a butterfly's head and say, do this, circle them or whatever. They can do that with easy things like that. But absolutely, I've had people who had eagles or big birds or crows, and it was them. They were just sitting on their windshield and just staring at them and wouldn't move. That was her son. I mean, it was so, because she'd seen it around. So yeah, those owls are probably somebody from that have passed and just want to come and say hello and talk to them. If you can figure out who it is. What? Okay. Owls lately. Hold on. Let me just see. So your wife's uncle just passed, right?
Yeah. While he was, call it lack of a better word, dying, one day found a raven feather in my yard, which was a raven feather with a tinge of silver. The very next day, I stumbled onto an owl feather. like in succession.
Collecting these feathers, number one, and number two, that you look.
Barbara, I am not collecting these feathers, as the Migratory Birds Act of 1917 is a $15,000 fine if you have it. So I don't have any of these feathers.
Even the ones that are on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, you could still look them up because they're all messages for you. Look up owl feather and put like owl feather, angel meaning, and the raven feather. And those are messages for you.
Yeah, the timing was very,
yes,
like on the nose, right? Because he was dying and he subsequently passed.
So let me just see. Was Jeff's uncle-in-law bringing in himself or making messages with, the feathers? So I do believe that was him just saying, even though he's still physically here, they bounce back and forth when they're dying. At night, they go back home. And if they wake up and say, I want to go home, you don't have to say you are home, because they're not until they pass. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But yeah, ChatGPT is useful from that standpoint. They let you know, because they're like, oh, you found the feather?
Yeah.
Oh, it's illegal for you to possess that. I'm like, okay.
Are they going to come into your house and say you've got 2 feathers that you found like on the ground?
Barbara, in this system.
Where do you live?
In Northern California.
Okay. All right. I'm in Southern California. We wouldn't have such a crazy law.
No, it's a federal law.
Federal. Okay. Must be endangered. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you more after we stop recording.
Okay.
Any final words for the audience?
Well, when you can't do anything about a loved one who passes, but you can change the way you feel about it. Because if you know in your heart that they're not gone, they're just ahead of you, it can make it a little easier. That's what I've heard, client after client, that it gives them so much comfort and peace to know that they are doing great and they're with family and they're living the life they may not have been able to live here. If somebody here couldn't use their legs or like was in a wheelchair the whole time, the first time they come out, they're doing karate kicks, okay? And they may not have done karate here, but they're letting you know they are back in action. So don't worry about them. All they want is for you to be okay and not be stuck in grief, and to enjoy life and have joy and be glad for the time you got them here. That's it.
All right, Barbara, it's an absolute pleasure. And thank you for gracing my podcast. And I really enjoyed talking to you. So thank you very much.
With you as well.
If you enjoyed today's video, please hit like and subscribe, and also hit the notification button so you can be notified whenever I post new content. Thank you. Now, if you're enjoying the channel and you want to support it, there are several things you can do. In fact, there are 5 things you can do. The first thing you can do is just buy my books. I got plenty of books out in the market right now, and I would prefer that folks buy a book rather than giving me direct support, because they get something out of it. They get a real tangible product. The second way you can support me is by becoming a member on YouTube or becoming a patron on Patreon. And just go to either site and it'll explain everything. The third way you can support the channel is by checking out my merch site, which is here. There's plenty of stuff that you can get to support the channel. And I'd appreciate that you have it and can wear it. Not only do you help support the channel, but you also help promote the channel, and I appreciate that. The fourth way that you can support the channel, and this is really easy, is anytime you want to buy something on Amazon, literally just go to the description below and click on any link, literally any link. The channel gets a cut of that, and it costs you no extra money. You just go through the link, as I'm part of the Amazon Affiliates Club. The fifth and final way you can support the channel is through donations. Now, I don't prefer these because it's more of an expression of gratitude, but you don't really get anything out of it as a subscriber to the channel. However, if you decide to do these options, there's two options. There's Buy Me a Coffee, which is a separate site. And there's also, you can go through YouTube with either a super chat, super sticker, or a super thanks. Again, I prefer Buy Me a Coffee because that organization takes less money than Amazon does. But either way, I appreciate any support you are willing to give the channel. So thank you very much and keep watching. I really appreciate it.